Well, happy full moon. Yeah, I believe we're in full moon in Scorpio. Now, you know that I'm not a great astrologer or anything like that. If I uh, if I were an astrologer, I could wax knowledgeably about the full moon in Scorpio and things like that. I sort of titled today's talk "Full Moon Lunacy" because the lunacy part I can speak with somewhat of experience in, and as a bona fide lunatic myself. But it is a full moon, and uh, if it has anything to do other than just the purely coincidental about the madness that is taking place, at least here in the United States in general, and here in California in particular. Uh, I would say next time the moon does this, you know, I want to be out of town, or but I often tell the story of when the sometimes five or six planets line up with the moon, and it happens every 14 years or something like that. And that's when I was looking up at the sky at an alignment. This is about 15 years ago or so, and I said, I wonder what happens when those planets line up like that. And then I fall off my foot and tumble. I've told that story a million times. But I thought I would do some lunar things today. And in the tarot, there are two lunar related cards. One of them is actually called the moon, but it is attributed to Pisces there, okay? Uh, and the Hebrew letter Kuf. How, I'm sure that I'm pronouncing it wrong, but Kuf means the back of the head, and that sort of looks like the back of the head. And that is the area of dreams and the medulla oblongata area and things. And the other tarot card that actually stands for the moon is the High Priestess card, the which is Gimel. That's quite a Gimel there, and it's attributed to the High Priestess card. The High Priestess card's a very important card if you're sitting around in a cube of space. Usually have one around here. If you're meditating inside of a cube of space, there's a line that goes directly up and down, and the line that goes up and down goes to an infinite ceiling that continues to expand, and that line that's going up, I like to see it as a yellow line that goes straight up and creates infinite upness and infinite downness. That's the Fool card. That's Aleph, the mother letter, Aleph. Okay, and it goes all the way up, and this infinitely expanding ceiling going up is the Magus card, or the magician card. So every time I look up at the ceiling, in my mind I see this magician looking down at me, and the magician is pointing up with one arm and down with another. It's just perfect imagery. But when I look down at my feet along that yellow line of the Fool, I see the High Priestess, and she's like the whole floor. She's like water, moon. Okay. And so but on the tree of life, she's even cooler. Now, my dear friend and brother Elton in the Bay Area uh, sent me this he did this. He did this himself. Okay, and it's front and back. Otherwise, I would immediately post it on my wall. Uh, Here's all the tarot cards. This is so complete, right down to the color scales. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I will see, there's Elton's signature there. I will see if he is selling this commercially. What a resource this thing is. Okay. Uh, but I digress. I'll see if he's selling it commercially. If so, I'll send the link to you. But the the path that leads from number one there, Kether, the white one at the top, directly to Tifereth, the sun, okay, the heart chakra, okay, from Godhead. Well, if you want to say that's from a Christian point of view, this would be God, and this would be the Christ. Okay. But most importantly, the 1, 2, and 3 is the supernal triad. That's super abstract, all potentiality. There's no stuff yet in the universe. It's 1, 2, and 3 are just sort of one thinking about itself. But the rest of the tree under that is what they call the macrocosm, and that's where the machinery, the potential machinery of everything it's going to take to throw together the forces, the energies, the qualities of a universe are in those 6 Sephiroth. Okay, actually there's 7 because that number 3 there is counted as that, but that's another wonderful story. And then the manifest universe itself happens right there in Malkuth. But the path that leads from the all potentiality of the supernal triad, 1, 2, and 3, and the rest of the freaking tree is the High Priestess card. She spans the area between, she goes through the abyss itself, like a camel crossing the desert. Okay. I'm going to read what Crowley has to say about the High Priestess card here in just a moment. But in the 29th Aether, Arn, I think it's the 29th Aether, it's across the abyss kind of thing where Crowley was experiencing the series of visions out in the Algerian desert. He is dealing or trying to deal with and trying to give voice to the inward experiences that he's having after his consciousness has crossed the abyss and is still dealing with the profundity of the experience and trying to put into meat words what cannot be put into words, and he's struggling with it, and he is dropping in and out of a strange other language that he calls a lunar language. And he's writing it down. It's gorgeous, okay? And he has a translation to it too, and he's got several waves of it. And one of them, well, they're both just incredibly beautiful, but very strange. And as a lunar language, it's almost intimate. It is intimate, or at least when I read it, I hear it as intimate. Imagine being with a lover and in that wonderful relaxed state, and your lover just puts their mouth, their lips up to your ear and starts to whisper to titillate you, starts to whisper stuff to titillate you. And that's how I hear this lunar language. And it just may be my horny Frenchman that's doing it this way, but here it is. And then I'll read you the translation. Mupa telai, tuwa melai, tufutulu, pasaka. Quimu telai, yapu melai, Segu melai, pefu telai, futulu. Ochabayalai, wapa melai, ut. Gefu latrai, lefu melai, kut, hut, nut. Alo ai, melamo ai, ti. Wala pelai, we need be. Okay, excuse my oral interp, but here's the translation. Silence, the moon ceaseth her motion. That also was sweet in the air, in the air, in the air. Who will shall attain? Who will shall attain? By the moon, and by myself, and by the angel of the Lord. Now, who will shall attain? That's tufu tulu. Tufu tulu. Can you see that emblazoned upon your the pinion of your lance or your shield or your lamen? Tufu tulu, who will shall attain. What a motto. Second one. Now silence ceaseth, and the moon waxes sweet. It is the hour of initiation. 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 The kiss of Isis is honeyed. My own will is ended, for will hath attained. The kiss of Isis is honeyed. Sekumalai. It's good stuff. Okay. We're at my age, it doesn't take much to excite you. Anyway, behold, the lion child swimmeth in the heaven, and the moon reeleth. It is thou. It is thou. It is thou. Triumph, the will stealeth away like a thief, the strong will that staggereth before Rahur Kuit, Hadit, and Nuit. Then finally, now the god O-A-I, now that's E-A-O spelled backwards. Okay. And just remember, across the abyss stuff, there ain't no backwards anymore. Okay. To the god O-I-E be praised in the end and the beginning, and may none fall who will attain the sword, the balances, and the crown. Okay. That's pretty neat. Oh, and there's another lunar language thing that is just awesome. And the translation of it is, I am the harlot that shaketh death. This shaking giveth the peace of satiate lust. Immortality jutteth from my skull, and music from my vulva. Immortality jutteth from my vulva also, for my whoredom is a sweet scent like a seven-stringed instrument, played unto God the invisible, the all-ruler, that goeth along, giving the shrill scream of orgasm. God, I am the harlot that shaketh death. Wow. Omari Tessala Marax, Tessala Dodifornepax, Amri Radara Poliax, Armana Piliu, Amri Radara Piliu Son, Marie Narya Barbiton. Shall I fuck with him? Jaya! Kuntaru Sigal Single Sagan Nicholas Abang. Son! Into me! Who is this? Who is this? Goodbye. Oh, it's just the Salvation Army calling again. No. I apologize for letting you see me like that. Where was I? Okay. I am the harlot that shaketh death. This shaking giveth the peace of satiate lust. Okay, I'll just try that again. Amari Tessala Marax, Tessala Dodip Fornipax, Amri Radara Poliax, Armana Piliu, Amri Radara Piliu Son, Mari Narya Barbiton, Madara Anifax Sarpiton, Andala Priliu. That's the shrill cry of orgasm. I think Andala would be the shrill scream, and Priliu is scream of orgasm. Anyway. That's that. Here's what Crowley briefly has to say about the High Priestess card. This card is referred to the letter Gimel, which means a camel. The symbolism of the camel is explained later. The card refers to the moon being the general feminine symbol, the symbol of the second order corresponding to the sun, as the yoni does to the lingam. It's universal and goes from the highest to the lowest. And I showed you on the Tree of Life there. Okay. Let's see, or at least it heads there. It is a symbol which will recur frequently in these hieroglyphs. But in the earlier trumps, the concern is with nature above the abyss. The High Priestess is the first card which connects the supernal triad with the hexad, like Lon said. And her path, as shown in the diagram, makes a direct connection between the Father in his highest aspect and his Son in the most perfect manifestation. This path is in exact balance in the middle pillar. There is here, therefore, the purest and most exalted conception of the moon. At the other end of the scale is Zatu 18. Now, there's one thing you can say about the moon, it's always changing. So there's the moon in its highest aspect and the moon in its lowest aspect. Now, there's no moral aspersions being cast one way or the other, which is higher or which is better, which is good and which is evil. They're just two phases. Okay. The card represents the most spiritual form of Isis, the eternal virgin, the Artemis of the Greeks. She is clothed only in the luminous veil of light. And Frida Harris did a really neat job of that by using projective synthetic geometry to show those undulating waves of light. Now they're a veil, okay? Usually you think of light as casting, illuminating things, making things clear and visible. But here, the high priestess, at her level of consciousness, the light serves as a veil. Okay, you got to even get through that. Okay? But I digress. I think Crowley says it here someplace. It's important for high initiation to regard light not as the perfect manifestation of the eternal spirit, but rather as a veil which hides the spirit. It does so all the more effectively because of its incomparably dazzling brilliance. Thus she is light and the body of light. She is the truth behind the veil of light. She is the soul of life. Upon her knees is the bow of Artemis, which is also a musical instrument, for she is huntress and hunts by enchantment. Now, that Vision in the Voice thing was written many years earlier than this Book of Thoth thing, and remember the line about the stringed instrument? Let's see. For my whoredom is a sweet scent, like a seven-stringed instrument. Okay. Now regard this idea as from behind the veil of light, the third veil of the original nothing, Ein Sof, Or. Okay. Those are the three veils of the negative that come even before one. But the last one is Ein Sof, Or. Light, limitless light. There's nothing, and then there's limitless or boundless nothing, almost nothing, and then there's limitless light. That's what he's talking about there. Now regard this idea as from behind the veil of light, the third veil of the original nothing. Oh, maybe I can even show you in Elton's beautiful diagram here. Hang on. I think he's got. Let's see, does he? Yeah. He's got it right here. This thing that comes before. Okay. All this blackness is an Ein Sof, and an Ein Sof Or. And that Ein Sof Or, that limitless light, in a sense, immediately contains within itself the concept of it imploding into a singularity. Okay, it's a limitless light. You say, oh, it's limitless, but we can think of even limitless as a noun. And that noun is the number one, is the Kether. Okay. This light is the menstruum of manifestation. That's what I was trying to say. Oh, Crowley said it in 4 words. All right. This light is the menstruum of manifestation, the goddess Nuit, the possibility of form. This first and most spiritual manifestation of the feminine takes to itself a masculine correlative by formulating in itself any geometrical point from which to contemplate a possibility. This virginal goddess is then potentially the goddess of fertility. Potentially the goddess of fertility. We got a great goddess of fertility going for us in the Empress card there, but I digress. This virginal goddess is then potentially the goddess of fertility. She's the idea behind all form. As soon as the influence of the triad, 1, 2, and 3, descends below the abyss, there is the completion of a concrete idea. The following chapter of the Book of Lies, falsely so called, may assist the student to understand this doctrine by dint of meditation. And it's the chapter he called Dust Devils. In the wind of the mind arises the turbulence called I. It breaks down. It breaks. Down shower the barren thoughts. All life is choked. This desert is the abyss wherein is the universe. The stars are but thistles in that waste. Yet this desert is but one spot accursed in a world of bliss. Now and again travelers cross the desert. They come from the great sea, and to the great sea they go. As they go, they spill water. One day they will irrigate the desert till it flower. See 5 footprints of a camel. VVVVV. Okay. The abyss he's talking about is, of course, that abyss right there. There's no path that goes from 4 to 3, but there is the path of the camel. Okay. The great sea is Bina. Now the cycle of existence comes from the great sea, and from down there returns to the great sea. For a classical description of the abyss, the student should consult the vision and the voice, especially the 10th ether. That's the one that really talks about the abyss. At the bottom of the card, accordingly, are shown nascent whorls, crystals, seeds, pods, symbolizing the beginnings of life. In the midst is the camel, which is mentioned in the chapter quoted above. In this card is the one link between the archetypal and formative worlds. Thus far concerning this path, considered as issuing downward from the crown, but to the aspirant it is, to the adept, okay, it's downward, okay, when you consider it uh, from, I'll read what Crowley says here instead of trying to explain it. Thus far concerning this path, considered as issuing downward from the crown. But to the aspirant, that is, to the adept who is already in Tifereth, or number 6, to him who has attained to the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel, this path which leads upwards. And this card in one system, entitled Priestess of the Silver Star, is symbolic of the thought, or rather the intelligible radiance of that angel. It is, in short, a symbol of the highest initiation. Now it is a condition of initiation that its keys are to be communicated by those who possess them to all true aspirants. This card is thus very peculiarly a glyph of the work of the AA. Some idea of the formula is given in this other chapter of the Book of Lies. And then he prints the oyster. The brothers of the AA are one with the mother and the child. The many is as adorable to the one as the one is to the many. This is the love of these. Creation, parturition, is the bliss of the one. Coition, dissolution, is the bliss of the many. The all, thus interwoven of these, is bliss. Not is beyond bliss. The man delights in uniting with the woman in departing from the child. The brothers of the AA are women. The aspirants to the AA are men. It is important to reflect that this card is wholly feminine, wholly virginal, for it represents the influence and the means of manifestation, or from below, of attainment in itself. It represents possibility in its second stage, without any beginning of consummation. I believe that was meant to be without beginning or consummation, but I may be wrong. It is especially to be observed that the 3 consecutive letters, Gimel, Daleth, and Hay, Atu 2, 3, and 18, that's the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Moon card, or 7 card, 17, which is the star, show the feminine symbol yin in 3 forms, composing a triune goddess. This trinity is immediately followed by 3 corresponding and complementary fathers, Vav, Sadi, and Yod. So that'd be the Hierophant, the Emperor, and the Hermit. Trumps 0, 1, 0, and 1 are hermaphrodite. The remaining 14 trumps represent these primordial quintessences being in conjunction, function, or manifestation. Now, it's a sentence like that drive people beginning to understand Crowley and the Thoth Tarot just crazy. But anyway, that's it. That's it for today. And tomorrow, hopefully the moon will have changed. I think you can count on it. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.